Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show. So happy to have you here. It is a great day to be alive, and I'm so excited about my guest. This is just a pile of fun. Are you ready to just feel good? That's what this show will do for you today. I can't wait. If you're here at the Heal Your Hunger Show for the first time, oh my God, you've hit the mother load. And it's not because I'm so fabulous. It's because it's a safe space to explore things that go beyond food and weight. You know, I get that if you're here, you probably struggle with food and weight. It's probably been a long, arduous, painful, demoralizing struggle. Dieting, blowing your diet, going back to another food plan, looking for the answer, you know, feeling like you have the answer and then blowing it and feeling like, how am I ever going to change? I've been through all of that. I was 50 pounds overweight. I was on the dieting roller coaster ride. It sucked. It sucked. It sucked. But at Heal Your Hunger, we don't look at the symptom of food and weight. We look at the underlying causes. How can we live differently so that we eat differently? Are you ready for that message? That's what we talk about here. And today's guest is no different. She's totally aligned with that. But I do want to say, if you have not yet figured out if you're an emotional eater or a food addict, you can actually take a quiz on my website. It's a free quiz. It takes like 3 minutes to take, but it will tell you your personalized score of where you stand on the emotional eating spectrum. Okay, if you're an emotional eater or food addict or somewhere in between. And once you get your personalized score, then you know next steps, because I tell you next steps, you know, based on your score, but you got to get your score first. So go to healyourhunger.com. Find out what your personalized score is. And also join us at the Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating, which is a great first step. That's where all my announcements, many of my shows get recorded there. I jump in there with different messages. I have some cool things happening right now, and I love to report on them within the Facebook group. So join us there. Go to Secret Sauce to End Emotional Eating on Facebook. Ask to join. We're happy to have you. And then we'll take it from there. Also, did you know I have an Instagram feed called Tricia Nelson _? So Tricia Nelson _. And I have many inspirational messages and fun little videos and things about the journey of healing from emotional eating. So check it out. All right, on with the show. My guest is beautiful and wonderful. She's a reinvention coach. She's full of life and love. She's just such a joy. I love her to pieces. She has quite a professional background and then a personal background of personal development and just overcoming and living your best life, which she is personally doing as well. She wants people to live juicy lives and to be truly fulfilled. And that's what she does as a coach, is help people do that. And we talk about that on the show. Okay, let's have a listen. My beautiful, lovely friend, Charlene. Hello, and so happy to see you today.
I'm happy to be here, and it's great to see you, and spring is sprung.
Yes.
And
indeed.
you're just a bright light. So I was just so happy to say yes and show up to your podcast.
I'm so glad. Always good to have you. I adore you. Yeah, so I love that you are a living, breathing example of what you teach, because that's so important, right? We don't want to follow somebody who's not walking their talk. You know, my experience of you, and we've been friends for many years, is that first of all, you don't look like your age. Not that you're old, but I'm just saying you look, when I've heard how old you are, and you're welcome to share that here, you don't have to, but you know, you're just so vibrant, so energetic. You are living the next chapter of your life, of your midlife. You know, you're recently married. I mean, you're just living out loud. And I love that. I think that we have that in common, right? We're not going to live half measures. We're going to max it out and be happy and fulfilled. So I'm super excited to talk with you, and also just blessings to you in the way that you do walk your talk. It's really beautiful.
Thank you. Back at you.
Thank you so much. You were a CEO for many, many years, almost 3 decades. You know how to lead people. You know how to sell. There's lots of things, lots of tools in your toolkit But after selling your company, you transitioned to this new work that you do as a coach. Can you just talk about what that was like? Because you're, again, living and breathing, shifting gears, making a pivot at midlife.
Well, actually, I feel midlife, but I'm in my third act. I'm 66 years old.
What?
And so I specialize with men and women, personal and small business leadership, personal too. We are all little leaders in our life. I hope we are.
Yeah.
As I'm 66, I love midlife. I love third act. They're my favorite people because life has been thrown at them. They've accepted things, gone with it, took the ball and ran with it. But also with that, lots of things happen in life. And what is our resiliency? What's the quality of our life? If we look at the chapters, right? Well, I had a company for 26 years, as you said. I sold it. But you talked about midlife. In midlife, I was driving down the street. I'm from Chicago. I live in Los Angeles now. I'm driving down the Kennedy Expressway. I get off the Ohio exit going downtown Chicago. I was in the Chicago Loop. And there was music on. All of a sudden, I started crying out of nowhere, right? I didn't realize when I look back in retrospect, I was going through a reinvention. And it was painful. And the reason why I'm doing the work I'm doing today is that I did it alone. I still get touched of this woman in her 40s, mid 40s, late 40s. I don't even remember. And I still get chills from it. And I just start sobbing. And it wasn't the first time. I wasn't depressed. I was maybe a little depressed because I wasn't sure what was going on here. All of a sudden I burst out, making a lot of money, downtown, great office, good staff, and in any business and life, we live in uncertainty and certainty, right? And I was in this uncertainty. I was like, where am I? I feel like I should be grateful, which I was, but I wasn't happy. And I wish I had someone like me then.
Yes.
Because there was a series of those. But, it was interesting. During that time, I said, if I don't know I didn't know my next step. So I couldn't do anything. I felt golden handcuffs. If you know what that is, you're making money, you're responsible for a lot. But, the golden handcuffs is it's hard to leave because so much is at stake in my mind, right? Not trusting the letting go and trusting myself. So anyways, that's how I started getting into midlife. Because when I was wondering after I sold my company, I looked back, what the heck am I going to do? What is needed that I can provide in the world? First, I got into grief recovery because, as you said, well, I don't know if people know this. I got married almost 2 years ago. And I met my husband, my now husband, at 62. And he was 68. But before that, I did some grief recovery work. And I became a grief recovery specialist. I was even looking into death doula work because I'm into transformation. It's like, and I learned about grief and how important it is to stop walking through the filter of grief, the coulda, shoulda, woulda. I wish this. Why, that.
So it's not necessarily grief that someone has died, but it's the transition and the loss, right?
Yeah. And the first year out from selling my company, I was like, why am I sad? I felt like I was in this grief. I lost my identity in my mind. CEO, Chicago, 21st floor, corner unit, known. It was like a comfortable shoe. You just knew what you were doing. And I'm not saying it wasn't challenging and all that kind of stuff, but I wasn't in alignment. So that's, again, back to the reinvention. But the grief after I left, I was like, oh my God. So it came at a certain time. And for those of you who are looking for a relationship, my parents died when I was young. My dad died when I was 16. My mother died when I was 29.
Mm.
And one of my biggest fears was losing my parents to death. I didn't know. Nobody talked to me about death. I went to Catholic school. Christ died on the cross. But I remember being afraid of losing my parents. And the worst thing came true.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to get deeper. I sort of had relationships. I was married one short term, but I couldn't be in a we. I was in a me. Not saying I wasn't a good partner, but I couldn't go all the way. And in this grief recovery, it helped me go all the way. And then also attachment theory work, all the stuff. but grief was a big one for me, grief recovery. And
Mm.
I feel complete and resolved in my grief. And loss, it's not like you said, it's not about death, just death. It's about changes and loss. Grief is a natural reaction to any of that. Change in your looks, the judgment we have on that. And you talk about food, and I talk about filling us up, consume, short-term energy relieving behaviors. If you're doing things and you have no control, look into your grief. I know you probably talk about grief a little bit in some of your stuff, Trish.
Well, it's the whole panoply of emotions that
Mhm.
we tend to avoid. And grief is a big one.
Yeah. Social media, Amazon, reality
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah. There's many ways to run from ourselves, aren't there?
Yeah. And they're short-term energy relieving behaviors. And you
Yeah.
know what? They don't last.
No, they don't last. And they end up sucking our energy because they take our attention from the present, from the here and now.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love that. And you're healing a hunger. What is
Yeah.
it? It's not the food.
Yeah, it's not food we're hungry for.
Yeah. So I love it. So did I
Well,
answer your question?
it's a fun conversation, and hopefully people will totally enjoy it. So, but I want to circle back because for one thing, what I heard you say is in order to truly be a we, you had to be a me. And that means you had to do work on yourself. And what people don't understand oftentimes is that it truly isn't about the food. It truly is about healing from the inside out and becoming whole. And when we do that, it just makes our life so much better. But what I love about you, Charlene, and what I relate with you about is you've embraced the personal development journey. Like, it's not about the symptom relief. It's about embracing becoming the best version of ourselves.
Yes. And we are in the human potential movement.
Yeah.
We don't need to stay here unsatisfied, hijacked by the donuts or what's behind that, or whatever. We could be healthy eaters and still overeat, right?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think the human potential is great. I'm excited. Anyone I work with, I believe I can help them and guide them and I believe I can help anybody make their dreams come true. But of course, I vet, and
Yeah. But here's the thing. What I want to draw attention to is you had to become the me, the fully expressed me. And then at age 62, during the pandemic, you met your future we.
Mm-hmm.
It was an online dating app, right? Did you guys meet?
Match.com.
Yeah. And I met my guy through Bumble, which I love that.
Isn't that
And
funny?
yeah. And although I do know, well, let me finish the point I was going to make.
Okay.
Which is that you prepared yourself on the inside to make that next step. And so many people are like, let me find the guy who's going to make me happy. And it doesn't work that way.
Absolutely. And once you go on that journey of self-discovery and know thyself,
yeah,
you will I attracted a guy that was perfect with me. And he was a we guy.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And it fits. He wasn't someone I thought I was going to marry this captain of industry in corporate and all that. He turns out to be a post-production sound engineer and a bass player in bands. And he's great. But I know my friends are like, oh my God, even though they love him. So you never know. Let's keep your mind open.
Yeah, and it's an energetic fit because me too. I'm totally my guy's a scientist. I'm into emotions. We're so diametrically opposed, but we're not, because we're a great energetic fit. And so when we do our personal work, when we get aligned with who we really are, then we can attract the right and perfect people in our lives, even if it's not a romantic partner. It's just the right people that don't bring us down, that lift us up. But we're not looking for them to fill us. They're just complimenting us.
Yeah. I should say I'm looking for my divine compliment. I love that you said the compliment.
Yeah.
And trust that it's going to come. Because if you think no, it'll never come, it won't.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So I also want to circle back on a word you said regarding your company. and the comfortable place you were there, you had there, you said you were no longer in alignment. Can you talk about that some more? Because I think a lot of people are living in that misalignment. And I know that misalignment often leads to overeating, filling the void and covering up the conflict of who we think we're supposed to be versus who we're becoming, and it's no longer aligned.
Yes. During the time, it worked for a long time. It was great. I loved it. And then something in me was shifting. I can't put a finger on it, what it was, but I wasn't in alignment. But what I was doing was hampering my emotions. I was afraid to talk about it. And it came from family of origin. We're from Eastern Europe. We don't talk about our feelings. It's like squelch, squelch, squelch. You shouldn't feel that way. You shouldn't feel that way. You shouldn't feel that way. And in turn, I was the same with people. Oh, here, think this way instead of your way. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I didn't.
Oh yeah. No, totally.
So and no wonder, Doritos came out. I ate Doritos every day. Thank God I have the metabolism at the time, so I didn't gain weight. But as you get older, things change, right? And we're more resilient at that time. But what was going on with me? I was in pain.
Yeah.
And I showed up. And the thing that helped me was said, if I don't know my next step, I guess it meant for me to stay right here and make full use of it. Because they say, right where you are is where you're supposed to be. And I said, okay. And I changed. I was like, okay, I guess I make full use of my company right now and get into it. I made that decision. And I tell you, I shifted. And what the key ingredient is, I know that I would know my next steps. And I had to do the things I had to do. In looking into myself, I started even before I wanted to sell or thought I would sell. I started going to like how to sell your business. I wasn't in the market yet, but I kept showing up to things. And I'm into the metaphysical. There's more to meets the eye here. That's what metaphysical is. I call myself a metaphysician because I have studied it for many years. It's like, there's more to meets the eye here. I'll know the next move. And showing up to some beautiful experiences outside my work. I wasn't my whole company. I mean, my company wasn't just me. It's many years it was because I had to work. But now I can balance more. I know I have to have, I can't marinate in my own knowledge.
Yeah.
In my own transition within.
So what I'm hearing you say, Charlene, is that you had what I call a divine discontent.
Mm-hmm.
Something wasn't working anymore. And I know people listening can relate to this, but you didn't just jump ship because you would have ended up in a similarly unhappy situation. So
you know what? Yeah. So you know what happened? My waiting set myself up to have my company sold.
Yeah. So, but you were on an inward journy. Like you were absolutely. Like, let me change myself within the situation. Let me see what I can do about me first. And it's sort of like you did the internal changes that helped you outgrow your external situation.
Yeah. And I didn't do that consciously.
Yeah.
But the part that was the turning point, as I said, was it must mean that I need to be here. So make the most of it. And then I did what I usually did. I was always in these, conferences and listening to these gurus and
personal development,
Robbins, and all this. And I would sit back and take whatever grains of what glimmered to me, and I would take it and use it. And what I would suggest to anyone, if something resonates with you, just use it right away, what you just learned. Then use it again. It could be one thing. And you won't believe the magic that can happen.
I love that. But you were embracing the opportunity to grow and learn and change.
Yes, in pain. I was pushed by pain, then I was pulled by a vision.
Yeah, I love that.
And so that's been my life, to show up. And also, it takes courage. Anyone who's listening here, it's not just one decision. It's courage, commitment, and consistency. And it's hard to be consistent. And just showing up, even if you think, can I swear here?
Of course.
even if you feel like your ass is going to fall off.
Yes.
If you're so scared of life, sometimes, okay, I'm going to give myself an afternoon to watch goofy TV, but I'm going to get up tomorrow, or do it for an hour or two. I'm going to watch this show. I'm going to get away and go, whatever. And I'll talk about my mental fitness whenever we have time with that, how I can help people not get hijacked.
Yeah, let's do it right now.
Yeah, I work with a company. I'm a positive intelligence coach too. And I worked with this brilliant man called Shirzad Shamin. He has a company called Positive Intelligence. And I became a coach. And then I found his work. He said, coaching hasn't changed for a long time. And what we need, coaching is great because it's in a lot of times we stop at insight in coaching. We don't do the other work. Coaching is only 20% of our change and expansion. We have to do the work, and it's an everyday thing. And positive intelligence, and why I picked him, because it's neuroscience with heart. It's changing our brain chemistry. This is going to be, I'm always in progression. I'm Aquarius, astrologically rising, Sagittarian sun. And the Aquarius helps me look in the future, higher learning. What's going on? I feel like sometimes I'm a futurist, right? So this is neuroscience, cognitive behavior, positive psychology, and performance science. And so we use these simple things to help you change from your left brain, which we all went to school on, the math and all this stuff, all of these left brain stuff. What we need to straighten is our right brain. And nowadays, more than ever, I said, we are in our great reinvention right now, worldwide. There's been a few of them. At this time, also, we're in our great reinvention. I thought, what about the people who are reinventing as individually through all this change? And midlife, especially third act, change is hard sometimes. Technology, for me, that's when I'm hijacked the most.
Yep.
And I could laugh. My husband's really good at it. He goes, I'm like, please. But anyway, so we can even do one now if anybody's interested. We do PQ. One of the things is a PQ rep.
Let's do it.
And we get into the no mind. It can take 10 seconds. My husband does it when he's driving on the freeway. All of a sudden I look, okay, I want you to just sit comfortably, everybody who's listening, and Tricia. And this is going to be 10, 15 seconds, okay? I want you to take your thumb and your forefinger. Now I want you to look at it, right? Look at it right now. I want you to close your eyes. I want you to sew with such attention. I want you to rub your forefinger and your thumb back and forth as aware as you can. Don't think of anything else. If you think of something else, go right back to this feeling your fingertips, feeling your fingerprints, the ridges that are there. You may not feel it, but really have that attention like, yes, my purpose is to feel this sensations of the rubbing of my fingers. Now get quiet. No mind here. All I want you to do is listen or just feel in your sense of touch. Get back to those fingers, rubbing against each other. And remember to breathe. Get back to those fingerprints. No mind. Okay, you can let go. Good job, everybody. I love that because I was like so excited here, and I was
So
I'm like,
this
I
is a
feel
way.
calmer.
This is a way to calm your mind in a very quick, in the moment practice.
Yes, and it's to not just calm it, is to get into the no mind.
Okay. Where your mind isn't racing.
Yes. Even when you're sleeping, I'll do it. And there's so many other things you could do, but this is just it. I was talking to my nephew, started a new job in sound. He's out of college a couple of years. I go, okay, he goes, I feel so much anxiety. I go, do this. And we did it. And he goes, oh my God, thank you. Whether you got anything or not at this time, try it again. Do it for 2 minutes. There's other ways with sound, sight, scent. It's a beautiful way of being, and it helps and it changes you. My clients have had great success in asking people, oh, after a 12-week, or one guy have a year, it's like, what's changed? Because we review all the time. One person that I work with, she said, she asked her boss, and she's a leader within the company. She asked the CEO, have you seen any difference in the last 12 weeks? He goes, yeah, you're less emotional and more calm. You're calmer.
Nice.
So
It's
did you
beautiful.
feel anything at all, or?
Yeah, and
You're
I
doing
actually
the podcast, so it's a different thing.
well, it's funny because somebody actually told me about him, and that she had me do that very same thing like a couple of weeks ago. It's so timely that you're telling me about it again and just bringing it up again. So I love that. It's so simple. I think we think we're going to need very complicated solutions, but so much of what we suffer from is just not being here now, right? And being caught up in our thoughts. And our racing off, I call it awfulizing, thinking about the worst case scenario, and emotional eaters are great at that.
Oh yeah. And I work with the judge. I've always, for years, I just did not like people judging others in negatives way. I'm not saying I didn't do it.
Right.
But what I'm learning is that there's the biggest saboteurs. I deal with saboteurs. The biggest saboteur is judgment. Judgment is the king, queen of the saboteurs. Judge of self, judge of others, judge of circumstances. Then there are accessory saboteurs. And so that is the judge, of course, victim, pleaser, stickler, hyperachiever, which I am, controller, ask my husband, avoider, hyper rational, everything's rational. They think if someone's like you, they judge us for being our intuitive selves, right?
Right.
And then you have the hyper vigilant. They see danger, and I'm being, exaggerating, but not. Vigilance could never rest, seeing danger everywhere. Even those little things keeps them up all night.
I love it.
So that's what I work with. So we're not hijacked by it, because it ruins more jobs, more careers, more relationships, more friendships, when we can be in the sage, which is, let's have some empathy for each other, especially in this world of polarity, and explore being the fascinated anthropologist in our own lives through every situation, every problem, innovation, navigation, activation. Now, this is the juicy life, the right brain. This is when you can get into the juice. And once you learn, you don't know, but once you start practicing it, it changes our life. It's changed my life. Life is smooth. And I'm not saying I don't have my little upheavals and fear of all these new things I'm trying. I have an operating system, and I have an app I can use. After a while, you're not using, I don't use the app as much, but I still do, because I'm constantly learning. I want to be a better person, better coach, better wife, better friend, and show up for these podcasts. I'm stoked on being on your podcast in the moment with Tricia.
We're all stoked listening to you, because you're such a breath of fresh air. Thank you so much. Let's wrap it up, and I would love to do that I have a question for you, but first, what's a few final words you want to share with people listening?
This is what I know, that we are all custom made for the lives we want to live. I absolutely know that for each and every one of us. And we can't do it alone. I mentioned before, can't marinate in our own knowledge and our experience. Let's get influenced by each other. That's the true meaning of intimacy, not just with your partners, just not about sex. It's about willing to be influenced by each other. Get a good, sure-footed, competent coach and mentor in your life. Be willing to be influenced, but also be influenced by that still small voice within, the dream you never did, thinking it will never happen. It can. I believe it, and I believe in you.
You are such a breath of fresh air. Thank you, and amen to that. Final question for you, this being the Heal Your Hunger show. Sweetheart, what is your deepest hunger?
When somebody asks me, whatever the wish, you have to make a wish or something, I go peace on earth from within. That's my goal. Is to people are grounded and peaceful. And peaceful doesn't mean boring. It means joy and all of that. Peace in all your self-expressions.
So beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Thanks for coming on the show. So awesome. How can people find you?
Well, go to my website. It's lifereinventionnow.com. There is a saboteur assessment. If you go in my positive intelligence tab, look around at it. It's a lot of fun. I also have some of my podcast stuff from Grief Recovery Now, if you are feeling grief or experiencing it or don't even know. And just peruse my website. And I'd love to talk to you. I do a free complimentary saboteur assessment, an assessment and a saboteur assessment, and a consultation for, I would say, 30 minutes to 40 minutes. I say 50 just in case, because I love to dig in people. But it'll be a lot of fun. So that's it. More stuff.
Wow, that's a very generous offer. So you guys, if you want more of this feel good energy that Charlene brings, connect with her and go to her website to do that. So Charlene, thanks so much for being on the show. I adore you, as I said, and I appreciate always our conversations. And thanks for being with us at the Heal Your Hunger show.
You are so welcome. Happy to be there. Peace, love, harmony, non-judgment for yourself and others and circumstances.
Amen. Bless you.
Bye. Thank you.
If you're ready to get off the dieting roller coaster ride and finally make peace with food and with your body, talk to a Heal Your Hunger mentor about what steps you need to take based on your own history with food and weight. Go to healyourhunger.com and register for an emotional eating breakthrough session and see how fast you can experience real change. It's a complimentary evaluation, but there are limited spots available. So go to healyourhunger.com and register to speak with a mentor today.